Okay. Come on in. Hey, Cassie. Good to see you. We're just getting started. So we love to start our meetings at the Y with a warm welcome. And so it's going to be a little funny because some of us are in the room in person and some of us are online. But for those of you who are online, I'd love for you to go ahead and throw in the chat a response to the following prompt, just so we can get to know each other a little bit. Feel free to let us know where recently you may have experienced some type of growth recently. This might look like trying a new food. It could be as simple as getting a new puppy. It could also be as intense as an ending to a certain thing in your life and a new beginning of something else. But feel free to throw into the chat an experience that has caused you to kind of experience some type of growth recently. And for those of us in the room, if you're comfortable, feel free to shout it out. No pressure to actually do it if you don't. But I'll go ahead and start. For those of you who are in the chat who are thinking about this, my growth recently was we went on a mini spring break trip and I took my kids to go skiing. And it was a growing experience for me because it was a little bit overwhelming, and we took some wrong turns and ended up on some trails that we shouldn't have. And I learned how to take some deep breaths in that moment and try and calm my body down because my little 8-year-old and 10-year-old were making me feel a little bit nervous. Anybody else have any examples of growth moments? You can throw it in the chat or shout it out.
Mine's is a little bit more dark.
Yeah, of course.
So I experienced loss. I lost my mother to COVID. But during that time, as with any grieving family, there's fighting for whatever reason when, there's death involved. And ironically, I was really calm through all the chaos. It was very eye-opening because I thought, they're driving me to drink, so anything could happen, when you're going through such a process. And because I was the caretaker and obviously, in charge of all the affairs, and it could be overwhelming. You got siblings fighting over whatever and still having to deal with and the fact for my mother. It was just overwhelming to anybody, but I was calm through the process. And, I'm a woman of faith, so I was just like, okay, let me woo-saw through this. So that was a growing experience to know that I handled it. Looking back, I probably would have been screaming. I probably was inside, but to go through that process and keep a level head and still finish it out was that to me was a growing experience.
Thank you for sharing that. I have a couple of things in the chat. Sue Glass is on the call. She's actually our CEO, and she said that that she's recently been working on becoming a more proficient swimmer. So a growth in a skill, which is always a tough thing to work on. And then I've got also Marisa saying that she recently reintegrated into the workforce after maternity leave and trying to grow into that. Yeah. Stephanie shared, we're working to use the Y resources more. I did a few fitness classes after a 2-year hiatus from going to the gym. Congrats, Stephanie. That sounds like some good growth, maybe some sore muscles as well. Anybody else?
I would go for it.
Go ahead. You go, Cassie. Go ahead.
Okay. Recently, my 13-year-old kind of freaks out a little bit sometimes, and she likes to hold the cats and that helps her calm down. And however, the cats are at her other parents' house. So a couple weeks ago, she was at my house and like started crying, and I tried to console her, but she wanted to go sit with the cats. So I figured I better get a cat at my house. So to make it even a little bit more difficult, she then, after I decided this the next week, I was like, let's go get a cat. She was like, I don't have confidence in you to have a cat. You know, you're a dog person, and I don't think you can have a cat. So that's, you know, like a difficult thing to hear from your 13-year-old, and then I have a 10-year-old also. So anyway, I'm proving myself with the cat, which is really crazy to try to do. And to make it even more difficult, we happen to get the most skittish cat you could ever see. They warned us the cat is going to hide in your furniture for 2 months. It says it in the write-up and everything. So why the kids chose this cat that like I'm supposed to prove myself I can handle a cat. Anyway, so I've got the most difficult cat with which I have to like show that I can be a good cat owner. But anyway.
Quick growing.
And keeping that separated from the dog is making it really tricky.
Yeah. And the dog smelling the cat on you.
But the paper says that it gets along with dogs, so it's supposed to work out.
Thanks, Cassie. Marisa, were you going to share something?
Well, yeah, I love that cat story. It sounds like there'll be a lot of like lessons learned there, and for you and the cat. Yeah, well, our family just moved to a new house, and we've been very disorganized and living out of boxes, and I just haven't been very motivated. There's just plenty of things going on that keeps me from wanting to dig stuff out of boxes, but kind of got inspired. There was a consignment sale going on of kids' junk, and I was able to go through and empty a bunch of boxes and put it up for sale because this consignment sale was happening. So I was pretty excited to just feel like I did a big spring cleaning lift when I was pretty stuck after the winter with all these boxes.
Yeah, thank you. If anyone has any other growth stories, you can pop them in the chat. I'll be happy to pause and introduce your experience of growth, but I want to make sure we move along so that I can introduce Marisa formally. She is an art therapist and licensed professional counselor, currently serving children and families at Children's Hospital, Colorado. She'll be presenting to us today on building resiliency. She's also an assistant professor at the University of Colorado with leadership and supervisory responsibilities. She's worked in public schools, hospitals, and community mental health centers, is dedicated to diversity, health equity, and inclusion work, and enjoys utilizing her bilingual skills in serving diverse populations. She loves the energy each patient and family brings to therapy and encourages them to use their strength to promote their health and wellness. And it says here you also enjoy hiking, rock concerts, and relaxing at home. So thank you so much, Marisa, for being here. I will hand it off to you, and you can go ahead and talk to us about building resiliency.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for that nice intro, Amanda. I am going to just do a share screen real quick, so forgive me for being clunky. 1 second here. Okay. I'm going to keep it like this because I think that it wants to take over my whole, let me see here. I think if I make it in a different mode, I won't be able to see the Zoom, and I want to see everybody, and I want to make sure I can see the chat. But we should go to the beginning of the slideshow. Okay, there we go. All right. Here is our agenda. So we have that great kind of icebreaker. I did want to go around and do some maybe quick introductions and hear everybody's name. We'll talk a little bit about positive psychology and then resiliency, which is what brought us here for this discussion, and how we can build resiliency and cultivate it within our lives. So there's a bunch on resiliency, and I tried to categorize it into 3 sections for us, including how to work on having a positive attitude, work on emotion regulation, and using cognitive coping to build resiliency. And then we can also establish your resiliency practice. And so I've said, like, if you at home can find some paper, pens, I know people in person already are set up with paper, pen, and crayons. And if you need a fidget toy or want to doodle, I welcome that. Alrighty. Quick disclaimer. So when we're talking about mental health, sometimes it can be activating for us. So make sure you're taking care of yourself. And then also, if there's anything you want to share, remember, I mean, this is a pretty public forum. So just remember to respect the confidentiality of your loved ones. For a quick introduction, could people share their names, why they're here, and then something that made you smile today? I don't know everyone's name. It seemed like Amanda knows people. But yeah, if you're able to go around and share those things, maybe we can do the people in the room first.
Marisa, do you want Zoom people to unmute and share, or just throw it in the chat?
Unmute and share if you're able to. That'd be great.
We'll start in the room, and then I'll go ahead and just call on people in Zoom so that we can kind of domino through.
Very cool.
Amanda, Senior Director of Health and Wellbeing. I work here at the Y, so that's partially why I'm here, but I'm also super passionate about mental health for kids and adults. And something that made me smile today was going into Schlesman YMCA just an hour ago and seeing all the people playing bingo and having fun. Go ahead.
My name's Cass. I have 2 kids. And what made me smile, seeing my youngest walking home, getting off the bus.
Dee, 2 girls. And something that made me smile is always coming here to the Y. Everybody's nice. You know, they're willing to help and the resources.
All right, we're gonna shift to Zoom, so I'll just call on you if that's okay. Jean, are you able to unmute?
Hi, yes, I am able to unmute. My name is Jean. I'm here today because I am the mom of 2 girls. My kids are 8 and 10. I'm also a pediatrician. So for me, I think the topic of resiliency is so important both at home when I'm trying to teach my kids these concepts, but also for my patients who I see when I'm at work. And something that made me smile today, I went to the dentist. So I have clean teeth, which always makes me smile.
Thanks, Jean. Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Lochner. I have 3 kids. They are 14, 12, and 9. And something that made me smile today was that my neighbor sent me her 3-year-old who got glasses today and looks adorable. But I'm here and my kids are actually close by too, and looking to just build mental health into their everyday lives as well and teach them that importance.
Thanks, Stephanie. Marisela?
Hi, my name is Maricela. I have an 9-year-old daughter, and a 7-year-old son. So I am here because I just find parenting so hard and want to learn more every chance I get. I try to learn more about parenting. Something that made me smile today was going back to work today after having a week off and just catching up with my boss that I just really enjoy working with. So we always have a lot of laughs throughout the day.
Thank you. Sue?
Yeah, thank you. Sue Glass. I am actually the presidency of YMCA Metro Denver. And why I'm here is because I have a daughter who's 14, soon to be 15. And resiliency is something we talk about all the time. But I find it's really hard for a teenager to conceptualize resiliency. So I'm here to learn. And what's one thing that has made me smile is actually launching Flex Your Family Fun. I think this is a fantastic opportunity for us at the Y. And I want to give all the kudos to Amanda for really spearheading this and bringing families back to the Y and providing such needed resources. So that's what makes me smile.
Thanks, Sue. Laurel.
Yeah, hi there. I've got a car full of 3 girls, so sorry it's a little loud, so I'm going to mute out. I did what Marisa says, and I have 2 kids. I have 3 in the car, and I just really want to build resiliency for myself, but also just I feel like it's something, if we learn it now, that it kind of helps us and our kids for the rest of our life. And honestly, what made me smile was just knowing this was happening and it was free and I could get on it. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm going to mute out because it's loud. So thank you.
Yeah, she bought it for her. Thanks, Laurel. Yeah.
Is that everyone, Amanda?
It is.
Okay, I thought there was another group, but maybe they left.
I think they did.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for introducing yourselves. I'm Marisa. I'm here because I was invited and I was really excited to talk about something so positive. And then something that made me smile today is I have a 2-year-old. I'll talk about her a couple times today because she does make me smile. She was really mad this morning and said, I need a blanket and a banana. And so I gave her both things and she just kind of cuddled up in the bed and was eating a banana in bed. And I wasn't thrilled at first, but then it just was hilarious. So it made me smile. A couple more things about my background. I wanted to share. I studied art, studio art, and psychology in undergrad. When I graduated, I got this job at the YMCA in a really small town called Hamilton, Ohio. And I was to be an art teacher with women who lived there. They were in transitional housing. Many of them had experienced homelessness and were living at the YMCA for a while and learning traits to get jobs or learning skills to get jobs. And yeah, I was like, I thought I knew everything as an undergrad and a recent graduate. And I learned so very much from being the art instructor to these women. We would have, people would bring in their favorite album and we'd listen to music and talk and do art projects. And conversations went about mental health, relationships, drugs, alcohol, having kids, all the things. And I learned that I didn't know anything. And I had a lot to gain. And I needed to go back to school. I really found that forum of sitting around and doing art with people who were willing to be open and share, that was just a great platform for relationship building, self-expression, relaxation. And I decided I should be an art therapist. And so I got to go back to school and study and have done art therapy for, gosh, like 12 plus years. And so I get to do art therapy here at Children's. And I love it as a way to teach people how to express themselves. So I'm sorry I can't be there with you in person. I would give you a whole bunch of, I like to do mandalas, which are circle drawings. So next time I'll come in. So yeah, I've been practicing in Colorado for about 10 years. And I wanted to share, like I got into this world too because of something called positive psychology. What's our next slide? In undergrad, we talked about this thing called positive psychology. I had no idea. It's a relatively new branch of psychology that really focuses on people's strengths and their attributes, their virtues. What are they great at? Lots of times people categorize psychology as something maybe abnormal, related to a disorder or some kind of challenge. And learning about positive psychology really opened my eyes to you know, how people can recover, how they can use their strengths to move forward with the challenges that life throws at them. And resiliency is a huge part of that. So we have our resiliency definition. Anyone want to read that for us so I can hear some voices? All right, so we have, I saw Marisa come up.
Oh. Okay, resilience. The first definition is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, toughness. And number two, the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape, elasticity.
I threw in number two because I like the visual of an object springing back into shape. Resilience, so in researching resilience, like it could be something that is genetic, that's actually inherited as a trait that people have, but it also can be learned. So we're really going to focus on building that muscle and how we can learn it to face these everyday challenges that we have. All right. So I kind of categorize, there's a bunch, like we could talk resiliency for days. I found it, I wanted to kind of categorize it and lump it together in different ways. So we have for our paths, our muscles to build, there'll be the positive attitude, emotion regulation, and then cognitive coping. And I'll go through each of those, give you some examples or maybe some tips or exercises to use. And also I'll be asking for your participation, whether you want to use the chat or you want to share out loud. Either is great. And then also if you just want to take notes to yourself, I'm going to give you a lot of different tools that could be useful in building your resiliency muscle. You know, some of them are going to scream to you like, yes, this is great. And others you'll want to move past. So note the ones that you think you want to work on. All right, so we're going to start with the fostering a positive attitude. And then within this, we've got 4 categories: self-acceptance, character strengths, gratitude, and then looking for the good. All righty, just making sure I'm on track. Okay, so step 1 here, we've got the self-acceptance. I have to practice self-acceptance right now because I don't like how this font looks. I made a mistake, but I couldn't fix it. I had a really hard time with PowerPoint. It wasn't following directions, and I had to move on and say, hey, you're okay. So that's huge part of resilience is having compassion towards yourself, and then also having compassion towards others. You know, we all have that internal kind of critic and kind of letting those judgments slip by and letting yourself be open to understanding. There is a positive psychologist named Edith Gratberg who has created these statements. She calls them the language of resiliency. And they are, I have them in bold here. The I have, I am, I can. And kind of looking at like, what do I have? What are my external supports? I am, what are my inner strengths? And then I can, like, what are my skills? What are my, you know, interpersonal and problem solving skills? I kind of think it would become a really cool poem if we wanted to create something here. Do you want to take time to maybe write this about yourself or share some things to kind of fill in the blank? I have, I am, I can. I don't know if things are happening in the chat.
Nothing right now.
Maybe this is something you could write down for just for yourself. If anyone wants to share, I'd love to hear it.
I can do one.
Awesome.
I'll go. It'll be short. I have 3 children. I am patient, and I can listen more, or something like that.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda. All right. Positive psychologists have also talked a bunch about these character strengths and virtues. So here's an image of, this is 24 that they've identified, strengths that we have a lot of, depending on who you are, right? If you can, jot down some of your strengths. One of my favorite things too about positive psychology is that it really pushes us, like, if this one activity makes you feel good, a positive, healthy activity makes you feel good, then you got to do it. You got to do it all the time. And that's really going to foster happiness and joy within your life. So if I like art, but I also like music, a lot of these things, you know, I need to do that more. I need to make art more. I need to rock out at rock concerts more, and I will feel great. And then, you know, research then goes into saying, like, the more that we're feeling joy and taking interest in stuff and being happy, the better we can respond to tough situations. So really building upon our strengths is going to help with our personal resiliency. All right. All of the things I'm sharing are like great, like pretty vastly researched. And I'm sorry I didn't link all of the different sources. I did want to share some specific gratitude research with you. So gratitude is a huge part of resiliency. There's some research that says that grade school kids were, you know, required to do a gratitude diary and write down what they were grateful for each day. And they found that that helped the kids with their sense of belonging. So their social well-being was really fostered through doing this activity. Another bit about gratitude research was that they studied and measured managers who supported their employees and expressed their gratitude. And that helped the employees be motivated to be more productive in their work. Yes, give me praise and tell me thank you, and I think I'll work harder. Definitely works for me. Also a raise, bonuses. Excuse me. There's a 3 good things intervention that we'll talk about later. And that one was found to help flourishing within a sample of elderly adults. And another gratitude intervention was successful in helping older adults like reduce depression and increase resilience. And that study was really cool because it actually found lasting effects from their gratitude practice. They could sustain an improved mood for years. So for us, what we can do for gratitude in practice, we can also do that gratitude journal, write down things that touched you throughout the day. You could write a gratitude letter to someone that did something really impactful to your life. Or we can do this just regularly. Tell people you're grateful for them as they do something great, or when you're sitting down to dinner with them or before bed. Okay, so, and then our last bit of this fostering this positive attitude is looking for the good in life. And so I have mentioned the 3 good things intervention, and that one, one of my professors a long time ago swore that she could inoculate her children from depression. Whoa, what medicine is that? But her plan was to make sure that she was really helping them fire the positive thinking pathways of their brain and talk about 3 good things in the day, every single day. And so they created this routine that before bedtime, the kids would list 3 good things that happened that day, specific to the day. And when I do this with patients, I'm like, anything. Like, it's not like, oh, I got to go to Elitch's, which would be great, but it could be little things. The sun came out. My classmate shared something with me and I got a good grade, or whatever it is. But this practice of remembering these good things and sharing them helps you also look for the good things throughout the day. As you get used to that routine, then you're looking like, what's good? So anyhow, that one can be great. And if anyone wants to share 3 good things now and just practice on yourself, maybe list it in the chat. Another, and let me know if anyone says anything too. Appreciate it. Does anyone want to share out loud 3 good things?
I'll share.
Thank you.
The first good thing is that I love my dog. I have a husky, a red husky. His name is Blue. His eyes are blue. My favorite color is blue. But he is such a stalker. He will come in every morning, give me good morning. You know, he'll come and give me his good morning, does his little stretch, and I love it. Every morning I wake up, I sleep with my window open because the sun just sets just right at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you just see the sunrise, and I love that. That's like my morning every morning. And my daughters keep me busy. That's a good thing. I'll leave it at that.
Sounds like beautiful mornings for you.
Yes.
Marisa, we do have somebody adding to the chat.
Amanda said beautiful weather, relatively easy getting kids out of the door today, and doing this presentation. My daughters, okay, this is Stephanie. My daughters linked up with friends on plans for heading out to middle school dance today. Middle school dance, how fun. All right, thank you. All right, this one, focus on the good feelings. I feel like we don't have enough time as Americans these days to like sit around and do something for 10 minutes, like focusing on ourselves. I'm going to ask you if you can try to fit it in. This can really feel great for your body, for your soul. Just spending about 10 minutes a day on a positive feeling. Really remembering, excuse me, I'm recovering from something. Really focusing on, like, it could be love, appreciation, joy, remembering something that felt so great, and try to bring back like the physical feelings of it, how it made your heart sing, or whatever it is, that however you experience that emotion in your body. I would like to share a positive thing that happened a couple of days ago that I am just trying to never forget because it felt so good. So 2-year-old Melody is learning Spanish, and she's very proud of herself, and I'm proud too. And she likes to do the colors. She said something like Spanish colors. Ah. I didn't know. I was like, yeah, okay, let's do that. And then I didn't know where we were going, but you just kind of roll with it when they're 2. And she just started saying, green, verde, ha ha ha, yes. And so then I realized she wanted this like color challenge. So I'd say, okay, what's blue? And she'd yell azul and raise her hands in the air and say yes and give me a hug. And we just went through all the colors. Red, rojo, yes, hug. And we're just laughing and hugging and screaming with joy. And yeah, it just made me so happy, and her too. So it was really fun. Okay, and then laughter. There's a bunch of laugh science on the list of research we have here. and even fake laughs are known to improve your mood. So maybe something's not that funny, but you know, even a fake laugh will trick the brain and give you some of those happy hormones. So try to seek out those funny friends, fun movies. I do recommend, like, I think life is pretty stressful enough. Maybe turn off the news and find a good comedy. There's laughter yoga out there, and YouTube has a lot of videos of laughter yoga too. It's pretty goofy. I do have a video linked here of Woody the Woodpecker laughing, so I think that's funny. But I don't know, like, do any of you guys do any laughter yoga over there at the Y?
We need to. I'm gonna write it down. It's on my list.
Oh my gosh, so ridiculous, but worthwhile. Lots of happy chemicals flooding the brain when you get into that ridiculousness. Okay, back to our paths to resilience. Our next section is going to be emotion regulation, which is where I spend a whole bunch of my days doing outpatient therapy with folks. We're talking about, like, how do we manage our anger, manage our stress, express ourselves appropriately, and then also, you know, just those kind of, well, actually, I was saying anger management, anxiety management, stress management, all of that. So I kind of just have listed the skills, but we can go and do these in depth if you have questions about them. But it's a huge part of building resiliency, is having that ability to stop when something stressful comes up, stop and manage that emotion and try to then react calmly when you've had time to think. So emotion regulation is definitely going to involve, like, that self-care, making sure you're eating well, you're exercising and doing all your great workouts at the Y, you're prioritizing your sleep, making sure you're getting some quality sleep, expressing yourself, hanging out with people. And then these are below: mindfulness, meditation, deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, are a lot of the skills we do in therapy. Are those interventions that you all are aware of?
Yes.
Do you have any questions or want specific interventions about any of these?
Marisa, I have a question. You know, I think I've navigated this for myself pretty thoroughly, you know, in my day-to-day life as an adult in the world. But I would love tips for how to help my kids navigate how to regulate their emotions, or how to kind of manage the moment when they are flipping out, or, you know, having a moment where, how do I help them pause, reflect, settle their body down? Like, what are some tips and tricks for helping me stay in a calm enough state to help them get to that state as well?
Yeah, okay. Well, couple areas there. And I agree. Like, as far as parenting, like, we have to co-regulate, right? Like, so regulate ourselves so then we can then help our child regulate. And so a stressful moment occurs with the child. That's kind of like check in with yourself first, right? Like, do I have the capacity to throw an intervention out there? Like, how do I want to support in this? And can I take a step back, breathe, and figure out how I want to proceed? And then I think I like to give kids as much heads up that you're going to do it before you do it. So, like, in a calm moment, letting your kids know, like, hey, next time you're going through whatever it is, this type of outburst, I'm going to remind you to stop and think, or to take your break, or breathe, whatever kind of interventions they like and are useful for them. But you're giving them the heads up. I'm going to remind you to do it out of love, out of support, out of wanting to help you get through those tough moments. I'm going to give you that. And so, I mean, every kids have all their different ways that they need your support. Sometimes they need that hug, or they need to take their space in their room. But yeah, that you're just going to give them that verbal cue to go ahead and do it. And it's not judgment. It's totally from a place of love, because you know they can get through it. Sorry?
I was just gonna make a statement and ask a question. One of the things that came up recently in our household is self-authoring. How to self-author yourself where you're not gonna be an emotional, emotional about any impact that's happening either against you or that you're creating. And because of, it seems like COVID kind of made everybody just spaz. Everything's a spaz now, unregulated, emotional, just situations. And so my question to you is that, given this example, how would you promote just a self-authoring side? Like, how would you address that? And then also because we are dealing with kids in school systems where not every household has a different parenting style. How do you help regulate the emotional self-authoring for children, persons, especially teenagers? They're have a 13 and a 15. So, just that part. How would you best help that situation, encourage positive reinforcement and those kinds of things? And for yourself too, because
And I apologize. I didn't hear the word that you're saying.
Self-authoring.
What do you mean by self-authoring?
Or speaking.
So like if you're your own author and you're being the character in your script, how are you going to self-author yourself in whatever situation you're coming in?
I like that.
You know what I mean? So when you think about it, I'm censoring myself. I'm being my own, narrator to how I'm going to produce myself in this situation. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm coming from. And as I brought it up to my daughters, is that we're responsible for our person. We're our business. What we put out and we project, we have to make sure that we're editorializing ourselves, whatever we're putting out. But because of the school systems right now and how everything is just, different parenting styles and things of that nature, how do we bring that home to say, that's okay, whatever's going out there, but how do we build that I don't want to say a wall, I want to say strength to be able to decipher that impact from the outside source, because everybody is entitled to their own parenting style. But when it comes back home, we got to be able to, set a boundary.
Wow, I love that term. Thank you for explaining that to me, and bringing that up. And I love that too, because it's really talking to your kids about what do they have control of, who do they want to be, how do they want to be out in the world, but also being really mindful of values, your family values, cultural expectations, and things that are really important to your family group. There are some really cool art interventions about like kind of creating yourself as a superhero or just as a comic book character, and kind of like, how do you want to face these certain situations in the world? And I love that having kids do an activity where they're drawing themselves as the main character and making these different scenes for themselves. How do I want to behave in this situation? You might have a child who's a writer and so could actually do that author. Narratives are so important in therapy. We do trauma narratives, and talk about really tough stuff, and then also do the next chapter. What's next after, this really significant thing happened and you've done all of this work to, move on to this next place in your life. What's next? And then authoring that chapter. Yeah. And that another chapter of resiliency really is like, what's guiding me? What's my purpose here? And encouraging kids to think of like, what are their true values? What's their meaning in this world?
As a mother of two lefties, creative art definitely, is intriguing to me.
Nice.
I have a
Lots of
question.
right-brained stuff going on in your family. All right. So happiness chemicals. So instead of, I think of, we have medication services as needed, but how do we tap into the chemicals to improve our mood naturally? So this highlights the different, quote, happiness chemicals: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. At the Y, I bet there's a lot of endorphins going on in the room, people working out. But this just kind of gives you like different examples of what can release those chemicals in your brain and help you feel better. The more you're releasing them, the more you're going to feel better, the more your brain's going to want to do it again. So I actually love the dopamine one. I think this comes for kids who are that student that loves to get her done and has their to-do list. How we as adults know how rewarding it feels to check stuff off that to-do list. There's a little dopamine to go along with that. Eating food, within reason, celebrating the little wins, making those little steps towards a goal. I'll release that chemical. Moving to oxytocin. Maybe this is going to happen with that kitten when it warms up to you. Cats. Oh my gosh, there's this cool study about from people who do animal assisted therapy that oxytocin is released when you're petting your dog, petting your cat, released within your pet and also within yourself. Serotonin. This one I always imagine happening when I'm doing art. That's kind of meditation, even getting your vitamin D can release some serotonin. A lot of the exercise too, but there's also a lot of crossover with serotonin and the endorphins for exercise. And then when you go to endorphins, I just want to highlight dark chocolate. Any reason for me to eat that? Yes. Endorphins. All right. And then moving to cognitive coping for our final path to resilience today. This one is really like kind of reframing how you're thinking. One of the positive psychologists, Martin Seligman, laid out 3 areas that we can kind of work on. We can challenge our thinking to build resilience. So they're personalization, pervasiveness, and permanence. And a lot of these can be thinking traps, is another word we use in therapy. So personalization is a trap that's kind of thinking like, I caused all this bad stuff. It's all my fault, right? I mean, that thinking pattern is not helping me and it's building stress. So when you or your child notices that you're blaming yourself for everything, it's all me, challenge those thoughts. Wait a minute, what else caused this problem to occur? There were others involved. The timing was off. Gosh, it was just bad luck. It was, just think about the other components there. Pervasiveness. Thinking that the challenge affects everything. It's affecting all the things. That builds stress, of course. So can we isolate the situation? Kind of break it down a little more. And then permanent stress builds when we think that the bad thing will last forever. So also focus on what's temporary. And I put this example. I know teenagers really live in this moment and take that impact of this bad thing is going to destroy my entire life, which is super scary thinking, but it's really, developmentally appropriate that they have a hard time thinking about time in a bigger capacity. And so with the teenagers, I'm always asking, like, how's this problem going to look in a week, in a month, in a year, in 5 years, to try to give them that perspective. Questions or thoughts on those? Wow, we are at 2 minutes till 7, 1 minute till 7. Okay, I'll just do one more cognitive coping slide. Mostly what I like to teach the kids that I'm working with is to make sure that you're practicing, like, first of all, like identifying the types of thoughts that you're having. Am I blaming myself a lot? Am I being overly critical? Am I generalizing or making a catastrophe out of this? Identify the thought and then challenge it. And then you can kind of slow down and figure out how you want to respond. And then hopefully adopt this like positive problem solving approach when you're able to slow it down. And my final thing for everybody as you were taking notes is just kind of to think about the challenges that you're facing and kind of what skills do you want to work on to build your muscle and practice these resiliency skills daily for yourself, for your families. What kind of ideas, what kind of things do you want to work on or that you're already using that are supporting resiliency in your home?
Marisa, I really like the 3 good things reflection before bedtime. That's so simple, and it's something that at the end of the day, sometimes you lose sight of capturing that moment, and it can be just like a kind of a shift in perspective. So I think I'm going to test that one out.
I like that.
Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. Any questions?
I did wonder, do you have any insight into this? The cognitive coping seems like it's a lifelong skill. How do you, like, what is, when you're offering an intervention or encouraging a reframing, like, what is the length of time that one can continue to do that work in small and slow and steady ways where they can see some shifts happening?
Sure. So we have there's a pretty good list, and I can send it out of what we call thinking traps, and kind of going through kids, like which ones are you using regularly, and helping them really identify the ones that are kind of their go-to thinking traps. Typically, I mean, we all tend to use them all at some point in our lives, but there's some that we might go to more. And so then helping that child identify those, but then when they're happening, talk them through it. Oh, let's see, whatever, for example, like being really self-critical right now. Let's talk through that. And helping them just notice that they're doing it, and that is really an unhelpful pattern of thinking. And then like basically encouraging them to find evidence against it. I don't say they have to like shift these negative thoughts completely to positive, but at least get to neutral.
Thanks, that's helpful. And I just popped in the chat for those people on the Zoom who are interested in learning more about the stuff happening during the month in partnership with Children's, and beyond that, just 2 links where you guys can go to get more information and to hopefully find this recording if you do need to reference it in the future. Just want to make sure people are aware that that's there as well.
Will us as in person be able to?
Yes, I have flyers for you.
Okay.
So it's on the website is for the Y, is that where it is?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming, participating.
Thank you so much for
Appreciate
being
you.
here and sharing your wisdom and all of the experience that you have. I will share your contact information, and it's also in the chat if people do want to follow up with you in some way. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice night.